Hey queens, how have you ladies been? I pray everything has been well with you. Everything's been well with me. We're just learning and growing over here. But I'm so happy to be back before you guys with another video. Throughout this beautiful summer, I have been enjoying my summer thoroughly. I pray you have been as well. I wanted to come to you guys and just give you a little bit of update of what's been going on. This year so far has been a year of spiritual maturity and revelation. Okay. And, you know, I have been having to learn things about myself. And, just when I thought I was ready to progress in some areas, God was like, hold up. No, not yet. So it's been really eye-opening. It's been interesting, and I want to come to you guys just to talk about some of the ways in which I've been able to kind of get to this like aha moment in my life. And I remember when I was in college, I had my pastors at the time when I was in Louisiana, the first lady. She was very, very big on wisdom. She has tons of wisdom about just about every subject. And I just thank God for her. And I remember when she was talking to me, not specifically, but I felt like she was talking to me in the room. She was mentioning something about being able to connect the dots. And that's a term that she would use often, connect the dots, connect the dots. And when she explained it, what she wanted us to understand was the things that we see in our lives, the things that we go through. Sometimes they may seem as cycles. Sometimes it may seem like, oh, this, or sometimes it may seem like this problem has just, come out of nowhere in our lives, and we're trying to understand, how did I get here? How did I go from being at this level and point in my life to this totally different level that I didn't even foresee myself getting to? How did I get from the top to the bottom? Like what happened in between? And she would, explain to us to connect the dots. And it was just so profound to me when she said it. At first I didn't initially get it, but some things she was saying, you can see a pattern to. Some things you may have introduced yourself to. Some things may have come out of something that your family had been, a part of or just doing over generations. So some of them may be generational cycles. But her whole thing was to be able to connect the dots. And I wanted to kind of help you guys understand that, and just give you some tools to be able to do that in whatever problem or area or issue that you're facing in your life. And there are a few steps, and I'm going to kind of go through these steps, make it quick, short, and simple, and try and give you guys an example of what I mean when I use it in my own life. So the first step is you have to, one, identify the problem. You know how you'll see those advertisements or those flyers, or just people just say to you, oh, the first step to recovery is admitting that you have a problem, not being in denial. That is really important. Some people, when they go through things, they don't necessarily want to admit that, oh yeah, I have a drinking problem, or oh yeah, I have this problem with tearing other people down. I have a problem with gossiping. I have a problem with X, Y, and Z. Some people, it's hard to admit, because then it's like, okay, I know I have it, so either I'm going to be this way for the rest of my life, or I'm going to have to change. So that decision in and of itself kind of makes people nervous. But if we look at change or transformation in the way that God wants us to, whenever He wants us to change or transform, or rather transform, it's always for the better. And it's not that He's trying to, put you through the ringer, or, tear you down or anything like that. It's always, okay, I want you to be better because I have something better for you. I can't give this better thing to you until you're ready to receive it. And if you are still doing the same problem, if you're still, mismanaging this or being a bad steward over that, how do you think you're going to be when I give you this good thing, and then a month later the good thing is gone because you don't know how to handle it? So when God wants us to do something like that, it's important to, one, admit the problem. The second thing, really, really important, understand the pattern to that problem. When I was going through my kind of transformation out of, or coming out of like fornication and things like that, I realized that yes, I had the problem, but there were always steps leading up to it that I didn't really catch on to right away. So if, if your mind is steady on whatever the issue is, or if you're like steady scrolling on Instagram or Facebook and you keep seeing these explicit pictures, or if you keep listening to these rap lyrics that have, just not so great lyrics, whether it be explicit lyrics, whether it be lyrics talking about always getting money and putting people aside, stepping over them to get money, whatever it is, if it's even watching, I had to stop watching things like Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, because after the show would go off, I would find myself being upset and angry. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Why am I upset and angry? This isn't even my life. So things like that. What are you exposing yourself to throughout the day? Who are the people you have yourself hanging around that may be feeding that issue that you have? What is your pattern? What does it look like? What feeds into it? But also, what do you do when you're exposed to it? Is it something that you meditate on for the rest of the day? Like, is it stuck in your mind? Is it something you keep feeding by scrolling and scrolling and scrolling? What is your pattern of behavior leading up to whatever that problem is? So identify the problem, recognize your pattern. That's really, really important. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why do I have this pattern? Why is it that I can't stop doing this? Why is it that I can't stop doing that? Is it something that I feel a void for in my life? Am I lacking my understanding of God's love, and that's causing me to try and seek love from other people and do whatever to get it? What is it? Did I grow up poor? Did I grow up without, and that's causing me to want to get money in ways that I shouldn't get money? What is causing you to have this type of problem? What is causing you to feed into this pattern? Are you trying to make yourself in front of people look a certain way? Are you trying to come off as the it girl? Like, what are you trying to do? What's your reputation looking like? I think that is really, really important, because if you can understand the problem and how you get there, the why, that if you tackle the why, that'll get rid of the problem. Because if you understand the love of God, then I wouldn't need to lay down with another person, or I wouldn't need to give up things that I value, my morals, to help please other people. Why? Because I please God, so nothing else really matters. So that's important as well. And then this is another one. Okay, you have to recognize whether or not this is a pattern that's in your family. Now, this is the not so easy part. It's not that it's not easy to find out whether or not it's in your family. It's trying to understand how to tackle that. And I really do encourage seeking spiritual guidance and counseling for that. Even if it's going to, a pastor or minister that you trust in your church, and be like, I've been having this problem, but I realized that my mother also had this problem. I realized my dad had a drinking problem, and, my aunt and uncle, they smoked all the time. And so, or, whatever your issue is, whether it's big or small, whatever, and bring that up, because sometimes those who are of spiritual maturity know how to handle things like that more than I could. And they're also an outside opinion to kind of help you understand, your role in this. Because again, not everything that we go through is something that we introduce ourselves to. Sometimes it's things that, that have been perpetuated in our families. And sometimes we need help with that, outside help, to help us to pinpoint the very issue, but also to give us, that prayer that we need to help us be free of that. And you never know, the people that you talk to, they may be able to give you pointers on that exact issue. Don't ever think that what you're going through is something that you've been going through on your own. God says in the Bible, there is nothing new under the sun. So he's seen it all, no matter what it is. And then lastly is to come up with an intervention plan. And I encourage you, as you're doing all of these things, to ask God for guidance, because not everything we can see on our own in our natural eyes. Some things God have to show us, and even things in my life in understanding God's love, God had to show me specific things about my childhood and how I grew up, or the love I did or did not get, or the type of love I got over the years and growing up, understanding that. And so coming up with that intervention plan is important. So when you're asking God definitely mention that. Like, he cares about everything that you care about, and he's very so excited, very much excited to help you to get rid of those things, because as I said, he wants to take you to a higher place. And I don't know about you, Queen, but I don't want any of my children having to deal with this stuff that I'm dealing with because I was too lazy or too careless to deal with it. I want to get rid of it before my children, have to even see me, and so I mentioned things like prayer and things like that, but you also might need to have some counseling as far as your emotions are concerned. When you're dealing with things from your past or from childhood, you definitely want to have somebody there to help you work through those emotions, because a lot of times you don't even know that those emotions are there. And when they're there, you don't want to allow those emotions to overtake you so much so to where you can't function or you're stuck in a state of depression or something like that. That's not the goal. The goal is to work through these issues, understand the root cause of them, connect the dots, and overcome them so that we can get to a better place. And then also, a part of your intervention plan could be distractors. What is placed in your life? Do you need to cut back on television? Do you need to get rid of some shows? Do you need to limit your time that you're on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat? And if you do, also, do you need to limit the people that you follow? Do you need to start unfollowing people, which is something I've been doing lately? I've been clicking the unfollow button like crazy, because I'm like, okay, why am I following you anyway? You're not healthy for me. So these are really important measures. And Queens, I think if we can just go ahead and just be deliberate, just be real. I have this issue, but I don't want to have it anymore. Let's be real with ourselves. Let's walk into the kingdom that God has for us and live our lives as queens like he desires. So Queens, I pray that this helped you. Let me know in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and tell your friends that Queens of the Kingdom giving out golden nuggets. Okay, keys to success. All right, Queens, I love you. Bye.